Caleb, the miraculous warrior whose faith transformed giants into blessings in Hebron. Divine revelation awaits. In the wilderness of Sinai, the Israelites wandered under the heavy cloud of uncertainty, their hearts filled with dread. Rumblings traveled through the camp as they recalled the promise of the Lord, a land flowing with milk and honey, the land of Canaan. Among the 12 chosen spies, Caleb, of the tribe of Judah, stood out as a beacon of unwavering faith. With fire in his heart and conviction in his voice, he declared, "Let us go up at once and occupy it, for we are well able to overcome it." But fear gripped the people. 10 spies reported terrifying giants dwelling in the land, sowing despair amongst the tribes. The years wore on as the Israelites wandered aimlessly, but Caleb's faith did not waver. He witnessed a generation succumb to doubt, yet he nurtured hope, holding tightly to the promise of their inheritance. Time passed, and as the day of claiming that land approached, Caleb, now 85 years old, found himself before Joshua, the leader who succeeded Moses. With fierce determination, he requested the mountains of Hebron, a place inhabited by the fearsome Anakim giants. "If the Lord is with me," Caleb proclaimed, his spirit unbroken, "I shall drive them out," as he said. His words stirred a mix of awe and bewilderment, for how could an aged warrior confront such colossal foes? Days turned into weeks as preparations unfolded, warriors rallied around Caleb, and yet anticipation hung thick in the air, trembling with uncertainty about the approaching battle. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select All Notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As Caleb and his contingent approached the mountains of Hebron, a palpable weight of fear loomed larger than the formidable giants before them. The murmurs of doubt spread once again through the hearts of the Israelites. Yet, Caleb stood resolute, reminding them of their covenant with God and his faithfulness. "Do not be afraid, for our God is with us, he promised us this land." His voice broke through the fog of hesitation, igniting a flicker of faith among his companions, but the road to God's promises lay fraught with trials. The confusion churned as Caleb confronted doubts, making peace with uncertainty as he prepared for battle. Thoughts of the seeming incongruity between age and challenge sparked within him a fervent resolve. They stood on the precipice of destiny. He was not only fighting for his inheritance but for the faith of a nation yearning to believe. The ascent toward the mountains began, Caleb pressing forward, his heart steadfast in prayer. Would faith stand firm against giants towering before them? Would God honor his promise? With late afternoon sun brightening their path, the horizon held mysteries yet unfolding, and Caleb's spirit surged with expectation. The story of his life, woven with divine threads of promise and trust, was far from finished. This moment held the key to transforming giants into blessings. What awaited them next as they faced the challenge ahead? As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the rugged terrain of Hebron, Caleb gathered his warriors. Each soldier stood vigilant, their hearts beating as one under the certainty of divine promise. Caleb's eyes, glistening with youthful zeal despite the years, scanned the horizon where shadows danced. Anakim giants loomed, their presence felt like the weight of mountains. Yet, the fierce spirit of Caleb, unwavering in faith, shone through the gathering twilight. "Brothers!" Caleb called out, his voice rising above the soft whispers of the wind. "The Lord has brought us here, he has not led us astray. Remember the words of our God, who said in Deuteronomy, 'The Lord your God goes before you, he will fight for you.' This land is ours, promised by covenant. They cannot stand against the might of our God." The men responded with a chorus of amens, their spirits reigniting with hope and courage. But Caleb could still perceive the undercurrent of fear among his companions. He knelt down, resting his hands upon a stone, as if to bind his heart to the earth from which their future would rise. Praying fervently, he sought divine strength. "O Lord, fulfill your promise. May your presence be our shield and our sword. Simultaneously, across the valley, the giants stirred within their strongholds. Their stature was mightier than the tallest cedar, their voices like rolling thunder. Yet ignorance was to be their own undoing, for they did not tremble at their impending doom. The ground itself seemed to tremble with their laughter, mocking the tiny-framed warriors who sought to challenge them. One of the leaders among the Anakim stood forth, Goliath by name, bringing forth a challenge to the fervent hearts of Caleb's troop. Who dares approach us? Send forth your champion, and let him know the might of the Anakim. The thought of facing such a beastly foe shook the hearts of the Israelite warriors, and whispers of doubt resumed their grip. Yet Caleb's resolve shone like a beacon, cutting through the veil of fear. We are not mere men. We are children of the covenant, he declared, stepping boldly to the front. His impassioned words echoed in the hearts of his comrades, reminding them of God's faithfulness. Days turned to nights in watchful anticipation, and Caleb's faith became a mantle of hope for those around him. Prepare yourselves, he instructed, for the battle is not ours, it belongs to the Lord. Stand firm, for our victory has already been secured. As the dawn broke, illuminating the valley with divine light, a holy stillness enveloped the battlefield. Caleb called forth his warriors to gather, each grappling with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The stark reality of impending battle stood before them, yet Caleb raised his sword high, declaring, "Today, we claim what is rightfully ours. The giants shall fall." But unknown to them, unseen forces of heaven watched intently. A divine orchestration beyond human comprehension was at work, preparing to reveal a plan that would transcend even the mightiest of Anakim. As Caleb and his warriors advanced, could they fathom the depth of God's promise nestled within their unfolding journey? What profound mysteries and divine revelations awaited in this epic clash of faith and fear? Thus, with hearts brimming with anticipation, they pressed onward, stepping into the realm where faith would meet the impossible, and the story of their legacy would be forever sealed in the annals of divine history. As dawn's light slowly poured over the rugged hills of Hebron, a hush fell upon Caleb and his warriors. They stood, a band of valiant hearts, fortified by faith yet tremulous with the awareness of their daunting foe. The air crackled with divine expectancy as Caleb lifted his voice again, "Brothers, do not let fear take root, for our God hath commanded, be strong and courageous, do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Joshua 1 verse 9. Each soldier felt the resonance of his words. The promise of God, like a shield, encircled their hearts. Caleb gazed towards the might of the Anakim, the formidable Goliath pulsating with disdain, towering above the fear-imbued men. In that moment, Caleb sensed the urgency of the hour. It was not merely a battle for land, but a test of faith, the proving ground of God's covenant. With resolve hardened by the Spirit, Caleb took a step forwards, his faith visible to all. Let us not be weighed down by their stature, nor by their fierce shouts. For our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities of darkness that lie behind their arrogance. We will show them the might of our God. The warriors, fired by Caleb's words, began to chant, "Our God is with us. Our God is with us." As they lifted their voices, the heavens seemed to resonate with their fervor, causing a tremor within the hearts of the giants. Caleb's spirit radiated the truth that obscured fear, the omnipotence of their God. Each moment stretched like an eternity as anticipation churned in their souls. Then Goliath bellowed once more, his laughter rumbling like thunder. "Who shall face me? Who dares challenge the might of the Anakim?" His scorn echoed in the valley, the ground quaking under the weight of his words. With every taunt, another flicker of doubt threatened to ignite among Caleb's men, yet his fierce gaze held steady as he announced, "I will go forth." Who better to face the giant than one who serves the living God? His declaration pierced the walls of uncertainty. Confusion flickered across the faces of his warriors, "But Caleb, you are but one man. Goliath is a giant." Yet Caleb smiled, undaunted, for he knew what they could not yet perceive. Remember David, the shepherd boy who faced the lion and the bear. The same God who delivered him shall deliver us. The soldiers rallied around Caleb, their spirits reigniting with fervor. As he approached the front lines, their prayers rose heavenward, beseeching divine intervention. O Lord, may your mighty hand be upon us today. You are our fortress, our deliverer. Caleb called out. The truth of Isaiah echoed in his heart, no weapon formed against us shall prosper, Isaiah 54 verse 17. As the warriors advanced, the ground shook beneath their sandals not from fear, but from the united courage that sprang forth in their midst. A divine plan was unfurling, written in the annals of heaven before the foundations of the earth. In that pivotal moment, as the armies prepared for the clash, the heavens heralded what was to come. The shadows of the giants looked longer, and the weight of dread was broken by faith. What would unfold in this hour would change the course of their lineage and reveal to every Israelite the undeniable sovereignty of God, and amid this supernatural tension, it became clear that this battle was merely a backdrop for a greater revelation, a testament not only to the strength of Caleb's faith but to the unfolding promise of God through the ages. As Goliath laughed, darkness lingered, but the dawn of divine victory was breaking forth. What glorious mysteries and outcomes awaited these children of the covenant as they faced down the shadows of death itself. Caleb stepped forward, a figure resolute amidst the throng of trembling hearts. The laughter of Goliath still echoed mocking, derisive, the very embodiment of defiance against the God of Israel. Caleb felt the weight of his people's gaze upon him, their hopes and fears intertwined like vines ensnaring the heart. Yet within him burned a fervor ignited by the Spirit, a fire not to be quenched by the taunts of the enemy. Goliath! Caleb cried out, his voice reverberating through the valley, you speak of strength and stature, but I stand here not by my might, but under the banner of the Lord of hosts. You come at me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel. 1 Samuel 17 verse 45, the towering giant's countenance faltered for a moment, surprise washing over his features. You dare challenge me, puny man? He sneered, casting a disdainful look at the Israelite ranks. Your God is a figment of your imagination. I shall crush you beneath my feet like the insect you are. But Caleb, emboldened by divine assurance, pressed on, your days of oppression are numbered, Goliath. The Lord has seen the cries of his people, and today, he shall deliver you into my hands. The fervor in Caleb's heart ignited a wild spark in the eyes of his compatriots, silent until now, as if life was breathed into their weary souls. The Israelites' murmurs began to rise again, swelling like a tide as each heart one by one reflected the truth of Caleb's words. Our God is with us. Our God is with us. They chanted anew, the declaration ringing in harmony as faith surged like a hurricane through their ranks. In the face of Goliath's towering form, Caleb chose his weapons wisely, not the armor of man, but 5 smooth stones gathered from the brook, each one a testament of trust. The battle belongs to the Lord, he whispered, recalling the battles fought not with swords but with faith. The memory of David's triumph over the lion and the bear fortified his spirit further. As Caleb readied himself, the air around them grew heavy, charged with anticipation. He stood before the giant, the ground beneath their feet a testament to the ancient covenant between God and his people. This day, we shall see the glory of the Lord. For you boast in your idols, and yet, they cannot save you. With each determined step, Caleb began to circle Goliath, his heart leading the way, flames of faith illuminating his path. The soldiers watched in wide-eyed wonder, their fears slowly receding as divine strength ignited within them. Have you not seen? The God of our fathers delivers his people. Today, he shall manifest his power through me. Goliath, brimming with wrath, raised his weapon, contempt dripping from his lips. I shall feed your flesh to the birds. He roared, thrusting his spear to the heavens, unaware of the sword of the Spirit drawn in Caleb's heart. Caleb seized a stone, lifted it high, and set his aim a single shot focused and unwavering. As he slung the stone, a stillness fell upon the battlefield. The stone arced gracefully through the air, guided by the very hand of God. It struck Goliath's forehead, an explosion of divine intervention sending the giant crashing to the ground, silence enveloping the valley. Fear transformed into pandemonium as the Israelites erupted into victory cheers, recognizing the sovereignty of their faithful God. Amidst the jubilant throngs, Caleb fell to his knees, awe flooding his heart. "O Lord, you have proven your faithfulness. Who is like our God?" And as the armies of Israel surged forward, emboldened by the miraculous overthrow, an undeniable truth resonated: God's plans unfold in ways beyond human understanding. What further mysteries lay in wait as the tides of destiny turned? What fresh revelations awaited his covenant people as they laid claim to the land promised, and as victory beckoned within their grasp? As the earth quaked with the weight of victory, the armies of Israel surged forward, their hearts aflame with newfound courage. They pressed upon the fallen giant, whose body lay motionless against the blood-soaked ground, a testament to the overwhelming power of the Lord. Caleb, rising from his knees, surveyed the jubilant faces of his brethren, and a holy reverence filled him as he recognized the hand of God at work. The Israelites, emboldened by Caleb's fearless challenge and the miraculous defeat of Goliath, began to chant praises, lifting their voices toward the heavens. "The Lord is our strength. The Lord is our deliverance," they proclaimed, their spirits soaring above the valley of Elah. The very air vibrated with the echoes of divine faithfulness, as the once timid souls transformed into a formidable host rallying behind the banner of the God of Israel. Yet amidst the triumph, a question loomed: what to do with the lifeless form of the giant who had cast such dark shadows upon their camp? Caleb, moved by the Spirit, approached the fallen warrior. With a heart full of gratitude for the victory granted, he knelt beside Goliath's body. "You came against us with darkness, but the light of the Lord has triumphed. In this victory, may our faith and obedience shine." The soldiers, catching the breath of his reverent response, recognized the profound nature of this moment. They began to pick up stones, not for violence, but to raise a memorial in honor of the God who had defended his people. "Let these stones serve as a reminder," Caleb declared, "of his unfailing love and warriors of faith who dared to believe." As the sun sank low, painting the sky in hues of crimson and gold, the elders of Israel gathered to recount the great deliverance. They spoke of how Caleb's faith had stirred the hearts of many, igniting a faith that could topple giants. "Today we have witnessed with our own eyes a demonstration of the Lord's might," one of the elders proclaimed, and the assembly responded with fervent amens. Yet, in this moment of celebration, an unseen hand gently nudged the threads of divine destiny. Across the valley where the great oak stood, the ancient whisper of a promise fluttered through the leaves. There would be more battles to come, and the giants that lay within the land still awaited them. Caleb sensed a stirring within his spirit. The conquering of Goliath was just the beginning. "Men of Israel," Caleb raised his voice above the clamor, "we have tasted the richness of the Lord's victory today. We look now towards the land of Canaan, where more giants dwell. Fear not, for the Lord goes before us." As he spoke, heat gathered around his heart, igniting the covenant promise spoken long ago: "Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon I have given to you," Joshua 1 verse 3. Yet, even as assurances echoed, Caleb recalled the hidden truths that lay dormant. What if the land still held within it the depth of spiritual warfare beyond the physical? What if deeper giants awaited, not merely towering in stature but lurking in the shadows of faith? With the promises of God resounding in his heart, Caleb gathered the Israelites. "We have triumphed over Goliath, but let us prepare for the greater battles ahead. For what we have witnessed is only a flicker of the power that awaits us." As night fell over the encampment and fires flickered in the darkness, Caleb pondered the mysterious ways of the Lord. The fulfillment of a promise was intertwined with the call to boldness, obedience, and faith. What further giants, both seen and unseen, lay in wait? What deeper realms of faith would they be called to confront? In humility, he bowed his head in prayer. "O Lord, reveal to us the depth of your plans and grant us the courage to tread where you lead." Thus, even in victory, a new journey began, a journey unseen, yet destined to unfold in the faithful hands of God. For within his sovereign design, every challenge led to revelation, and every giant paved the way for blessings yet unimagined. As the dawn broke over the valley, the light danced upon the remnants of the night, illuminating the faces of Israel's warriors as they gathered for a new day. Caleb, still moved by the overwhelming victory over Goliath, called forth the leaders of his tribe. Urgency resonated within his spirit, and he longed to convey the deeper purpose behind their triumph. "Brothers," Caleb began, his voice steady, "let us not be lulled into complacency by mere spectacle. The Lord has shown us his power, yet our journey into Canaan is fraught with challenges that await us. We must prepare our hearts and minds for what lies ahead." As he spoke, the sun began to rise, casting long shadows that seemed to mirror the giants yet to confront them. He recalled the divine decree that the Lord had spoken through Moses: "When you go to war against your enemies and see horses and chariots and an army greater than yours, do not be afraid of them, because the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, will be with you." Deuteronomy 20 verse 1. A murmur echoed among the men, a mix of excitement and trepidation. They had tasted victory but understood the necessity of preparation. Caleb continued, "In our journey to claim the promised land, let us remember the covenant bestowed upon our forefathers. We are a people set apart, destined to inherit the land flowing with milk and honey." Among the crowd was Joshua, Caleb's steadfast companion. The young warrior's heart burned with fervor as he stood beside him. "Let us be bold as lions. The Lord our God is with us. No foe stands a chance against the might of the Almighty." With fervent agreement, the Israelite warriors rallied, their voices merging in a chorus of faith, as they recognized their collective purpose. The memory of their victory over Goliath sparked a flame that could not be extinguished. "We are Israel. We shall not retreat." As preparations ensued, Caleb sought the counsel of the elders of Israel, gathering them under the shade of a great oak tree. It was here that he laid out his vision: "We must send forth scouts into the land. Let us survey the valleys and the hills, the cities fortified and the fields lush. We shall know our enemy and discern the strength of our inheritance." The elders nodded, understanding the necessity of discernment as they recalled past failures that had befallen their ancestors through fear and disobedience. "Let us appoint 12 men, one from each tribe," an elder proposed, embodying the collaborative spirit of their journey ahead. "May their hearts be filled with courage and their eyes keen to perceive what the Lord has set before us," Caleb replied earnestly. Thus, selected leaders ventured forth, trekking into the unknown, their feet echoing upon the ground where giants resided. Each step echoed the question of faith: would they trust in the promises of God despite the shadows that loomed? Days passed, and the anticipation grew heavy in the camp. Caleb and the elders pored over each prayer, seeking the Lord's guidance. The sacred moments of quietness amidst the clamor of preparation began to evoke a deep sensitivity among the people. Meanwhile, the scouts gathered intelligence, and soon the air was thick with suspense. On returning, the men who had traversed the land bore good news mingled with fear. "Truly, it is a land flowing with milk and honey, yet it is fortified by giants, and their cities are strong." Thomas, one of the scouts, added, "We felt as grasshoppers in their sight." Whispers of doubt began to ripple through the gathered tribes, and Caleb's heart quickened. "What have our eyes witnessed, brothers?" he implored. "Did the Lord not bring us through the Red Sea? Did he not deliver us from bondage? Why do we allow the sight of giants to cloud the promise of God?" Tension gripped the assembly, hearts battling between faith and fear. Caleb sensed the sovereignty of God unfolding even now, his spirit urging for boldness. "We must rise. For if God is for us, who can stand against?" As the murmurs subsided, the assembly paused, poised on the threshold of choice: faith or fear. Before tensions could escalate, Caleb's eyes gleamed as he beckoned forth Joshua. Together, they stood united before the people, a beacon of unwavering faith amid uncertainty, for within that pivotal moment, a divine mystery lingered in the air, one that would reshape the destiny of a nation. What higher purpose awaited them, and how would the Lord's hand guide them through the valley of giants? As the murmurs of uncertainty coalesced into an uneasy silence, Caleb and Joshua raised their voices higher, drawing the attention of the multitude. "We have seen the land," they proclaimed in unison. "It is indeed magnificent, just as the Lord promised. But the giants we faced are not greater than our God. Caleb stepped forward, his hands lifted, invoking the very presence of the Almighty. Shall we allow fear to dictate our actions? Remember the 10 plagues that ravaged Egypt and the parting of the Red Sea. All these wonders were wrought by his mighty hand. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob declares that we will inherit this land, regardless of its fortifications. His words pierced through the doubt like a spear of truth, rekindling the flickering flames of faith amongst the assembled tribes. Yet, despite the reverberation of hope, still they resisted, ensnared by the fear of giants. Joshua, emboldened by Caleb's fervor, continued, "It is imperative that we do not speak against the Lord our God. For if he is with us, who can prevail against our cause? Our enemy's strength is but a temporary shadow overshadowed by the light of his might." Yet, even as they resolved to proclaim their faith, echoes of dissent persisted. Some among the people recounted tales of woe, of the giants they had encountered, their strength, their stature, and the fear that had gripped their hearts. "Are we not mere grasshoppers in their sight?" they lamented, each word filled with despair. In that dark hour, Caleb's heart was torn, yet resolute. He uttered a prayer in his spirit, beseeching the Lord for intervention, longing for a glimpse of his wondrous dominion over the earth. "O Lord, grant us the resolve to recognize that greater is he who is within us than he who is in the world," he prayed fervently. Then, the Spirit spoke through him, igniting a fire of passion. "Brothers, do you not recall the promise spoken unto us? You have seen what I did to the Egyptians and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself." Exodus 19 verse 4. The Lord desires for us to proclaim our faith boldly. This giant of fear must fall before the courage we muster in his name. With this rallying cry, Caleb urged the people to remember their origin, their calling. He implored them to rise up against their fear, calling forth the God who had introduced themselves to them in fire and smoke upon the holy mountain. The weight of history settled upon them, and an audible response bubbled up. "What should we do, Caleb?" A voice arose, anxious yet yearning for direction. "Choose faith. The God who has led us through many sorrows will not abandon us now. Let us march forward, for Canaan is within our grasp. If we trust and obey, he shall make giants fall and cities crumble." A reverent hush enveloped the assembly. Heartbeats synchronized in fervor, hearts stirred toward hope, awakened by the prophetic promise that lay ahead. In that sacred moment, Caleb looked across the crowd, seeking the divine response he had prayed for. It was as if the heavens themselves parted, and he felt the weight of God's presence, the unmistakable assurance that indeed he was with his people. The throngs began to murmur their agreement, a wave of unity emerging from the sea of fear. They readied their spirits, resolved to embrace the divine destiny before them. As the sun reached its zenith, illuminating the faces of the warriors anew, the revelation dawned upon them not merely as conquerors of lands but as bearers of a promise that extended beyond themselves, a testament of faith for generations to witness. But looming still were the giants in the land, remnants of their fears yet to be confronted. Would they press on in faith, or would doubt ensnare them once more? And thus, a new mystery unfolded, painting the future on the canvas of their hearts. What divine revelations awaited them, and how would the faith of a remnant reshape the very nature of their battles ahead? As night descended upon the encampment, a solemn atmosphere enveloped the people. The tribes of Israel gathered like a flock of weary sheep, hearts battling against the shadows of fear that whispered of defeat. Yet, amid the uncertainty, the words of Caleb and Joshua lingered, igniting sparks of faith within the congregation. That I and the stillness, as the stars twinkled overhead, flickering like promises yet unfulfilled, Caleb took it upon himself to call for a gathering at the entrance of the tabernacle. He raised his voice above the murmurs that sought to drown the very essence of hope. "Hear me, O children of Israel. Let us seek the face of Almighty God this night. For our journey is not in vain, and our faith shall not falter before the adversaries that lie ahead." With hearts beleaguered yet willing, the people approached the sacred tent, drawn by a yearning for guidance. They fell to their knees, voices raised in prayer, calling upon the Lord for strength, wisdom, and courage. "O Lord of hosts," they cried together, "lead us to victory. Reveal your plan for us, that we might fulfill our destiny. In that hour of desperation, the Lord stirred among them. A soft glow enveloped the tabernacle, and the spirit of prophecy fell upon Caleb. With a boldness that surpassed the fear which had clutched their hearts, he declared, "Thus says the Lord, fear not, for I am with you. I shall deliver the land into your hands. Even as I was with Moses, so will I be with you." Then a sudden stillness gripped the assembly, and the weight of God's presence saturated the air. It was a sacred moment, where time seemed to yield to the divine. The tribes of Israel, once scattered in their fears, now stood united in the promise of God, hearts synchronized with His word. "Be ever steadfast," Joshua echoed, lifting his hands toward the heavens. "For our God is not a God of retreat but a God of advance. Remember how He parted the waters and how He fed our forefathers with manna from heaven. If He could do such wondrous things then, how much more shall He do for us now?" Amidst the growing fervor, whispers of faith blossomed into bold declarations. "We are not grasshoppers," they proclaimed. "We are the children of the Most High. We shall overcome." Their cries echoed through the night sky, reaching the ears of the Almighty, who delighted in their faith. Days passed, and at dawn, Caleb summoned the mighty men of valor, setting a battalion to strategize and prepare for the confrontation with the giants. He knew that the time was upon them, and they would not stand alone. They would advance, armed not solely with swords and shields, but with the courage born of faith. As they stood at the precipice of battle, they beheld the land that surged beneath towering giants, a sight both daunting and awe-inspiring. Caleb's heart surged with conviction, and with eyes fixed upon Canaan, he exclaimed, "With the Lord fighting for us, we shall press on. They are but shadows, and our God is the light that dispels the darkness. Let us remember His promises, for the Lord has given us this land." Unified by his exhortation, the warriors drew close, forming ranks, echoing the battle cry of their ancestors. They lifted their weapons high in fervent anticipation, ready to stride forth, compelled by the spirit of faith that coursed through their veins. But as they prepared to march, an unsettling presence slithered through the air, a foretelling of the challenges to come. Until that moment, they were resolute, yet a disquiet crept back into their hearts, a reminder of the giants that loomed over them. The earth trembled beneath their feet, and a new revelation began to stir within Caleb. What if these giants were not merely obstacles, but instruments of God's glorification? As he pondered, a deeper truth unfurled. Could it be that through their imminent victories, God would manifest His sovereign power and plant His covenant in the land? With that, the call to march rang forth. We do not march in vain. For even in our trials, we are part of a greater canvas of redemption. As they stepped forward in faith, the covenant promise of their God echoed in their spirits. The moment hung in balance, poised at the brink of victory or despair. What mighty testimonies would arise from the ashes of struggle? Little did they know, the tapestry of the promise was being woven against the backdrop of faith, and the reality of giants stood but as a prelude to the magnificent glory of the Lord yet to be revealed. As the dawn began to paint the horizon with shades of gold, Caleb stood at the forefront, emboldened by the fervent prayers of the night. The warriors, fierce in their resolve, tightened their grips on their swords, glancing towards the formidable mountains that heralded the land of Canaan. Deep within, Caleb felt the weight of history and destiny converge. It was a day etched in divine prophecy. "Go forth, sons of Israel." Caleb instructed, his voice a clarion call against the rising sun. Today we confront the giants with the strength granted to us by the Almighty. For the Lord is our shield and strength, and no weapon formed against us shall prosper. The troops echoed his fervor in unison, hearts ignited by faith's flame. They advanced, moving in unison as a testament to their unity in purpose. For they were not merely marching into battle, they were reclaiming a promise long deferred. Yet, as they approached the precipice overlooking the valley, fear clawed at the edges of their courage, a whisper from a distant past that spoke of strength and terror. With the valley below laid bare, they beheld the fortified cities and the giants who patrolled the land, their massive shadows stretching like dark clouds upon the earth. A sense of dread began to seep into the ranks as memories of past failures rose to the fore. "We are but grasshoppers in their sight," some murmured, recalling the reports of discouragement. But Caleb's unwavering gaze pierced through that veil of doubt. "What saith our Lord?" he called out, voice infused with authority. "He it is who has commanded us. Who among the powers of darkness or the might of men can stand against the promise of our God? Did he not say, 'Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you'?" Joshua 1 verse 3. With renewed vigor, Caleb's words stirred the hearts of the warriors, and they pressed forward. As they descended into the valley, the ground seemed to quake not with fear, but with the anticipation of conquest. The rocks and soil beneath their feet resonated with the echoes of their ancestors who had battled for freedom from Egypt. As they drew closer, a great roar erupted from the Philistine camp, a terrifying challenge that sought to shake their resolve. Yet Caleb, undeterred, approached the front lines, and before the looming giants, he raised his voice unfalteringly. "You come against us with swords and spears," he declared, "but we come against you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." 1 Samuel 17 verse 45, the air crackled with tension, and Caleb's words hung suspended between heaven and earth, a divine intercession that summoned the very hand of God. At that moment, he did not only see the giants as adversaries, but as instruments through which God would reveal his glory. It was a revelation that ignited the fire of faith among the troops. These fierce enemies could be transformed into stepping stones for the manifestation of God's promise. The battle cry erupted amid the thrumming hearts of the Israelites, reverberating against the hills and drawing a response from the heavens. What miraculous signs would follow their faith, they wondered. The air was electric, charged with the imminent clash of destiny and divinity. As the Israelites charged, a radiant light burst forth from the heavens, shining upon them like a divine spotlight, illuminating the path ahead. In that sacred moment, the ground shook not with uncertainty but with the sound of heaven's approval. Yet even as victory loomed, unknown to them lay a deeper purpose entwined with the giants. They were not merely obstacles but part of a grander narrative woven by God's own hand. What was his ultimate plan that awaited fulfillment in the land of Canaan? As Caleb and his men surged forward into battle, the answer awaited just beyond the horizon, shrouded in the mystery of God's sovereign plan. And so, as the dawn cast its light over the valley of Hebron, a profound peace settled amongst the children of Israel. The echoes of victory over Goliath still resonated in their hearts, yet Caleb sensed that their greatest battles lay ahead. "Brothers," he called once again, "the Lord is our guide. We have faced giants, yet look at what he has done. He has shown us that faith triumphs over fear, and from victory flows the promise of our inheritance." With unwavering determination, Caleb rallied his men, urging them to step forward into the realm where their faith would be tested anew. They gazed upon the fortified cities that guarded the land, and the formidable giants they would soon confront. Fear threatened to take hold once more, but Caleb's voice pierced the thickening fog of doubt. "What giants dare stand between us and the promises of God? Let their might be shadows compared to our faith, for our God is the one who fights for us." As they approached Canaan, the hearts of the Israelites were fortified by Caleb's words. As they drew near to the cities, Caleb led them in fervent prayer. "O Lord, grant us courage. Remind us of your promises to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Open our eyes to see your hand at work." His prayer became a clarion call, igniting hope and unity amongst the tribes. The warriors, burdened by the imminent battle, looked upon one another, their resolve coalescing into sheer determination. "Our God has brought us this far. We shall not falter," they pledged in unison. Caleb's spirit soared as he witnessed the renewal of their faith, each warrior bolstered by the testimony of what God had already accomplished. As they prepared to face the fortified city of Jericho, the heart of opposition, God's strategy ignited in Caleb's mind. They would march around the city, not with swords or shields raised, but with faith and obedience in their hearts. "This shall be our battle plan," he declared. "On the seventh day, lifted high shall our praises be, for the walls of Jericho will fall, and the glory of the Lord will be revealed." The day of the march dawned, and in silence, they encircled the city. With each step, fear trembled, and the ground resonated with faith. Caleb led the charge, shouting praises to the Lord, "Be still and know that He is God. He shall deliver us." As their voices intertwined with fervent melodies of hope, the Lord's presence engulfed them, enveloping their spirits. On the seventh day, echoing their cries of worship, they let forth a mighty shout. And lo, as the triumphant sound reverberated through the air, the earth shook, and the walls of Jericho came tumbling down. The Israelites surged forward, their victory accomplished not through might, but through the power of faith unleashed. With every step taken through the rubble of what once stood against them, breakthrough came. The giants that had once seemed insurmountable dwindled into mere memories, faint echoes against the promise of abundance flooding their hearts. And as Caleb surveyed the land flowing with milk and honey, a profound gratitude enveloped him. "O Lord, you have proven faithful. This land is not just our inheritance, but a testament to your everlasting promises fulfilled." In the aftermath, Caleb extended his hand to his fellow warriors, each one whom he had called brother during the harrowing battles they faced. "Today, we put our faith into action and seize what belongs to us. For we have tasted of victory, and our obedient hearts shall carry us forward." The elders gathered once again, the air filled with praise and acknowledgement of God's mighty hand. "Let us divide the land as the Lord has commanded, for we are now a people transformed. Let this be recorded for generations to come, a testimony of God's undeniable faithfulness." In the heart of Hebron, a place once thought lost to fear and doubt, Caleb took possession of his inheritance, claiming the mountains even amid giants. "For this land shall narrate the stories of faith, courage, and the fulfillment of God's unyielding promise." And so it was that the people of Israel began to inhabit the land, embodying a legacy that would echo through the ages, each story of conquest a stepping stone, every chapter a message of hope, urging those who come after to trust in the Lord and never yield to fear. As the dust settled, and with the giants vanquished, Caleb's heart rejoiced in the promise fulfilled. He raised his gaze towards the heavens, acknowledging the sovereign hand that guided them from bondage to blessing. "May all who read of our journey know one truth," he proclaimed, "that faith in God leads us to victories that surpass all giants. We shall continue to march forth in His name, with fearless hearts and unshakable faith. For our God is with us." In this sacred moment, the legacy of Caleb stood eternally etched, a call for all to embrace their destiny through the indomitable power of faith. Now is the moment for you, dear friends. Be inspired by Caleb's unwavering faith. Subscribe immediately to stay connected to God's Word and not miss the next powerful biblical stories that could transform your life. Leave a like now to help spread the message of faith and courage through the algorithm. Please comment your spiritual reflections and how Caleb's story has impacted your faith journey. Don't wait even one more second to share this powerful testimony with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth today. Your actions could change lives, because only true believers understand the importance of supporting biblical content to reach more souls for Christ.